My sister-in-law tried to poison me at my husband's party. What happened next shocked everyone. Hey, I'm 29, married to Harry for 7 years now, and honestly, life's been mostly good except for one major drama queen, his sister, Kayla. When I first met Kayla, I actually liked her. She seemed fun and cool, but as time went on, that completely flipped. Kayla turned out to be one of those people who's all about stirring up trouble, poisonous, manipulative, and negative as heck. I spent years trying to get on her good side, hoping things would get better, but honestly, it just got worse. Harry once dated Kayla's best friend when he was a teenager, but he broke things off because it felt forced, mostly because Kayla kept pushing them together. When Harry turned 23 and was single, Kayla actually told their parents she wanted him to marry someone she could trust and feel comfortable with. Obviously, Harry wasn't having it, and the parents mostly ignored Kayla's drama. Meanwhile, while Harry and I were falling in love and making plans, Kayla was busy cold-shouldering me. She'd drop little digs all the time, like casually reminding Harry of his exes, how well they were doing, how he should hit them up, right in front of me. Harry thought it was weird too and told her to stop, but she'd just get mad and mock me for being jealous and told Harry I wasn't good enough for him. Kayla even went as far as inviting one of Harry's exes over for family dinners, acting like it was a coincidence she ran into her that day. She didn't follow me on Instagram, but she was stalking my stories daily, the first to watch, and if a guy commented on one of my photos, she'd complain to Harry about how indecent I was acting online. Harry and I would laugh at her ridiculousness. Kayla's ultimate goal was to break us up. She told Harry that I was full of flaws and that he could do better, all while I'd been nothing but friendly to her. That cut deep. As soon as we got engaged, things escalated. Everyone celebrated except Kayla, who suddenly got quiet and then dramatically stormed out of our engagement party. Later, she called Harry, crying and yelling that she deserved to be the first to know because she was the closest person to him. Then, she sent me borderline threatening messages about how I should treat her brother because she'd always been the only woman in his life. I didn't respond, leaving her on read, which probably made her even madder. After that, Kayla's behavior just kept spiraling. She began ignoring me completely whenever we were in the same room but still insisted on being involved in every little wedding prep detail. She showed up uninvited to dress fittings, bridal showers, you name it. Both my mother-in-law and Harry called her out multiple times, but it never seemed to sink in. Kayla's criticisms of my wedding choices hit a new low. One day, I was chatting with my mother-in-law about the centerpiece for the reception when Kayla overheard and started mocking me. She said my ideas had no class and that this was exactly why she wanted her brother to marry someone else. That was my breaking point. I lost it and told her flat out that she was no longer invited to the wedding and that I wouldn't tolerate her constant taunts and negativity anymore. She looked stunned, like I'd just pulled the rug out from under her. Even when my mother-in-law backed me up, Kayla was furious. She immediately called Harry, whining about how I had humiliated her and demanding that he control me. Harry stood his ground, making it clear she wouldn't be welcome at the wedding if she kept acting out. Reluctantly, Kayla sent me an apology text, which I left on read. I was too exhausted from wedding prep drama to engage. In the end, she did show up for the wedding, probably because I wanted to avoid more drama. But the moment she arrived, it was clear something was off. Instead of celebrating, Kayla was dressed head to toe in black, like she was attending a funeral. A floor-length gown and veil, seriously. She wandered around, telling guests how devastated she was about losing her brother to another woman. Harry even had to confront her at the reception, reminding her she could wear whatever she wanted but that she needed to stop making scenes. Eventually, my parents asked her to leave because her drama was embarrassing. Since that day, I've avoided her as much as possible and made it clear she's not allowed near our son Nate. Harry's parents supported this decision completely, knowing how toxic she had become. Following that, Kayla suffered a miscarriage with her boyfriend Jamie about 2 years ago. That seemed to break her for a bit, and out of sympathy, Harry and I tried to be more forgiving and allowed her some access to Nate. At first, she seemed to genuinely connect with our son, which surprised all of us given her past. But with time, the old Kayla came back, constantly complaining about how hard life was, blaming ex-friends, managers, anyone but herself. She became a master of the victim card, rarely admitting fault and always trying to rally people to her side. Then she got married earlier this year and shockingly did not invite us. When Harry and I asked why, she said she didn't want me there because I would cause problems. When I called to confront her, she told me she was worried I'd pull a black dress stunt like at our wedding and ruin her day. I immediately told Harry how manipulative she was being. Outraged, Harry talked to his parents and decided to cut Kayla and her husband out of the wedding plans and deny financial support. Kayla cried and blamed me for the whole mess, but her husband reminded her she was responsible for her own actions. Not even 6 months after her wedding, Kayla showed up at our door complaining that her marriage was falling apart. Harry and I let her stay with us for a few days, hoping to be supportive, but it quickly became clear she was more focused on blaming Jamie for everything rather than taking responsibility. She vented endlessly about her struggles conceiving, and her bitterness spilled over into our lives. Kayla would nitpick every little thing, often inventing problems just to stir the pot. One habit she picked up was questioning my daily routine, like why I was bathing after workouts or why I needed to keep a change of clothes handy at the gym. I brushed it off initially, telling her I just liked staying fit and didn't want to be gross at work. But her constant questions and side eyes felt more like spying than concern. During one family lunch, Mill was sharing news about a friend going through a messy divorce after catching her spouse cheating. Out of nowhere, Kayla interrupted and asked Harry point-blank if we had a prenup. The whole table went silent. Harry gave a blunt answer, no prenup, because we both make good money and trust each other. Kayla scoffed and launched into a rant about how he could get blindsided any day and that cheating was everywhere these days. That felt like a low blow, and I asked her to explain what she meant. She then insinuated I was meeting someone else since I always carried extra clothes around. She said as Harry's sister, it was her duty to warn him. At that point, Phil and Mill quickly stepped in to shut down her wild accusations and told her to stop meddling in our lives. But Kayla wouldn't back down. She insisted she was just looking out for her brother, and even joked about whether our son Nate was really Harry's, implying I was untrustworthy. I'd never seen Harry so angry. He looked Kayla dead in the eye and told her she wasn't a mother yet, didn't deserve to be one, and that her child would be better off in paradise than with her. Kayla was stunned into silence while Mill and Phil exchanged worried glances. Kayla's bitterness continued to fester as she complained about me constantly, claiming I was ruining everything. She painted herself as a victim but was clearly the source of much of the family tension. Harry told her to focus on her own marriage instead of pointing fingers and spreading drama. Reduced to tears, Kayla ran off to the bathroom, while Harry struggled to cool down his anger with support from Mill. After that day, Harry apologized to Jamie for Kayla's behavior but ignored her altogether. We cut almost all contact with Kayla. Her toxicity was hurting not just me but Harry as well. Mill and Phil agreed she had gone too far and were concerned about how she was affecting their usually calm son. We last spoke to her over a year ago, and since then, things have been peaceful. Then came the surprising news: Harry and I were expecting another baby. We decided to announce it on Harry's birthday during a big celebration hosted by Mill and Phil. The party was filled with friends and family, and despite our history, Kayla showed up. At first, she was all smiles and apologies, telling Harry how much she missed him and how sorry she was for their last fight. Harry told her to apologize to me too because she had wrongly accused me of things. Kayla nodded and said she had been going to therapy and realized how wrong she'd been. I nodded politely, not fully convinced but wanting to keep the peace for Harry's sake. Throughout the party, Mill and Phil kept an eye on her and told us they'd kick her out if she caused any trouble. Harry insisted we keep the peace, so we let it slide. Oddly, Kayla seemed more upbeat and social than usual, talking about therapy and personal growth. Harry gave a heartfelt toast about how lucky he felt to have me, and cutting the cake felt like a new beginning. Then we shared the big news: we were having a baby girl. Everyone cheered and hugged, tears of joy flowing. My mom hugged me so tight she cried, and Phil saluted us with tears streaming. But Kayla was the odd one out. She looked stunned, then turned away, clearly upset. I hoped she was processing the news, but a small part of me worried she might spoil the moment. During the party, as I sat waiting for Harry to bring me some food, Kayla came over beaming, acting all sweet and saying how excited she was about my pregnancy. She personally wanted to offer me dinner and tried to make up for all the times she had been nasty to me before. I nodded politely, appreciating the gesture, until I started to dig into the dish and realized she had put shrimp on my plate. I'm seriously allergic to shrimp, so I was shocked she'd even serve me something with it. Disappointed, I shook my head and got up to find something else to eat. Right then, Jamie came over, congratulated me on the pregnancy, and asked why I hadn't eaten. I explained about the shrimp, and he kindly took the plate, saying he'd eat it himself since he liked shrimp. I smiled and turned away, but within 5 minutes, Jamie was violently ill, throwing up and staggering, clearly in distress. Everyone stopped eating, staring in shock and worry as Harry and Kayla rushed to help him. Jamie gestured at his throat and then at the plate, and it hit us all that the shrimp had made him sick. He then passed out, and people gasped, rushing to call an ambulance. Kayla was crying non-stop but also glared at me, asking if I had given her husband the plate. I nodded, feeling faint myself. Later, we learned Jamie had been poisoned. No one knew what was in the food he ate, but it was clear that Kayla's actions had caused his illness and hospitalization. The police were called for evidence, and Jamie stayed overnight in the hospital. Kayla stayed with him, crying and worrying, while relatives flooded our phones, asking what happened. Mill and Phil stayed with us, too, scared to return home. This whole terrifying event left me feeling horrified and scared, worried for my baby, for Jamie, and for myself. The fact that Kayla deliberately poisoned someone close to me shook me to the core. I couldn't imagine how far she would go or what else she was capable of. I was terrified to be around her and vowed to keep my kids far away from her. I also felt guilty for letting Jamie eat that plate, fearing I might have unknowingly poisoned him myself. I struggled to eat or sleep, overwhelmed by anxiety. My husband stayed close to me, unaware of how much I truly knew about Kayla's dark side. People in the comments told me to confront the family gently, but I worried no one would believe me. Luckily, Mill and Phil had security cameras around the house, and they confirmed the footage showing Kayla handing me the poison plate. I planned to speak with everyone that night. Later that evening, we all gathered for dinner, Harry, Mill, Phil, and me. I took a deep breath and shared the whole story, how Kayla handed me the shrimp plate, how Jamie got sick, and how the security footage confirmed it. Everyone's faces reflected shock and disbelief. Harry's expression went from uncertain to furious as I talked. I shared my fears about Kayla's intentions and the potential risk to me and my unborn child. Mill immediately advised reviewing the security footage to confirm the gravity of the situation, and Phil agreed. Harry stayed silent, processing the revelation. Watching the footage, the truth was undeniable. Kayla's evil intentions became crystal clear. Harry struggled to control his rage while Mill and Phil expressed horror over her actions, stunned into silence. None of us could understand why Kayla would stoop so low. We decided to hand over the evidence to the police and pursue charges. Jamie was the one to file, and Harry and Phil planned to meet him once he recovered. I felt immense guilt every time I thought about how I let Jamie eat from my plate and worried about his well-being. I was anxious, unable to eat or sleep properly. It's been a month since my last update, and a lot has happened. Kayla was detained after the police reviewed the security footage my in-laws gave them. The evidence was overwhelming, and she didn't deny a thing. She broke down in tears and admitted years of jealousy toward me. She confessed how she had always hoped one of her best friends would marry Harry, and when he started dating me, she began harassing me relentlessly because she didn't want an outsider in the family. She became furious when we announced our pregnancy at Harry's birthday party, especially since she was planning to reveal her own pregnancy soon after a previous miscarriage. She felt like we had stolen her moment to shine. In a dangerous mix of rage and hormones, she laced my supper with a bit of rat poison, aiming to land me in the hospital, but she swears she never intended to harm the baby or me physically. She's pleading for leniency, saying she didn't expect me to offer the poison plate to her husband. The judge didn't buy her excuses and sentenced her to prison. Jamie, thankfully, is now free and has divorced her. We've included him in family events whenever possible, and he's reassured me that none of this was my fault. I've apologized profusely for unintentionally giving him the poisoned food, replaying the moment in my mind over and over, wishing I'd handled things differently. Hearing that Jamie is recovering brings me some peace. Harry and I are now proud parents to a beautiful baby girl, who has brought light and warmth into our lives despite the lingering shadows of the past. Nate, our son, is a protective big brother, and watching their bond grow fills us with joy and gratitude. Both my parents and in-laws have been pillars of support as we adjust to this new chapter. They've helped us navigate the complex emotions and challenges that come with blending families and overcoming trauma. Our focus now is on building a loving, stable environment where our children can thrive without fear or negativity. As the weeks rolled on, Harry and I slowly began to rebuild our lives, layer by layer, day by day. Therapy became our safe space, a place where we could unpack all the tangled emotions left by Kayla's betrayal. It wasn't a smooth journey. There were days when the past crept in, threatening to undo the progress we made. But we learned to hold space for each other's fears and frustrations, growing stronger as a team. We also became fierce about protecting our boundaries. No more silent suffering or sweeping problems under the rug. We made it clear what behavior was acceptable and what wasn't, and most importantly, we prioritized our kids' well-being above all else. Nate and our baby girl flourished in this new environment, full of love, laughter, and safety. With time, Harry and I noticed subtle but meaningful changes, not just in our relationship but in how we saw ourselves. I stopped shrinking away from conflict or second-guessing my feelings. Standing up to Kayla's toxicity was about more than just saving our marriage, it was reclaiming my voice, my dignity, and my peace. I realized that wanting respect isn't selfish, it's essential. I learned to set boundaries firmly, to say no without guilt, and to protect my mental and emotional space. At first, it was scary. Old patterns die slowly, and Kayla's presence was a lingering threat. But peace at the expense of my dignity wasn't peace at all. Along the way, I found new strength, in friends who listened without judgment, therapists who guided with patience, and quiet moments where I reconnected with my true self. Harry and I grew closer, our marriage deepening through honesty and mutual respect. Our kids thrived in this healthier home, where love and respect were the rules, not exceptions. Every day felt like a small victory, proof that growth is possible, even from the darkest places. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this journey. If you've ever been caught up in family drama or struggled to protect your peace, you're definitely not alone. This Reddit story family experience shows how love, boundaries, and resilience can help you survive even the toughest storms. If this story hit home, drop a comment and share your own experience, I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe for more real, raw, and relatable Reddit story family tales. Your voice matters, your story is powerful, and your peace is worth fighting for. Stay strong, stay true, and I'll catch you in the next video.